Today we're going to talk about how I discovered pinup. Now, as you all know, I'm old as balls, so I discovered this style a very, very long time ago. It's got to be about a good 12 years ago, maybe a little bit more, since young Candy discovered the art of the pinup. Now, weirdly enough, this come about in such a strange way. I discovered the pinup art form during performing arts college. Surprise, if you didn't know, I trained as a performer. Can't you tell? But in my final year of training, we did a course essentially looking at different career aspects within the performing arts, different job opportunities you can apply for, because obviously the performing arts industry is super competitive and they didn't want us to think that there was only a certain amount of jobs that you could apply for. So young Candy did nothing more than type away and start looking at different variations of performance that wasn't necessarily mainstream. I then discovered burlesque, and let me tell you, I instantly fell in love with it. And I was blown away by the costumes, the art, the performance style. I loved everything about it. Now at the time, I had just gotten into modelling as well, and obviously my gateway into pinup was, like most others, by discovering none other than Dita Von Teese. I first discovered her burlesque routines whilst doing my coursework, like I said, and I was so intrigued about her, I then did so much more research after this point. I discovered her modelling work that ran alongside it, and the fact that pinup was her aesthetic. It then led me on to doing even more research to do with this styling, and I of course discovered people like Betty Page after that point. I was obsessed with this world I had just discovered. But I think I was like 20 at the time. I had never fitted in anywhere. I was always the weirdo. Even whilst training at this performing arts school, I was still the weirdo. I always liked rock music and dressing differently. And discovering pinup made me feel like this was for me. Something inside of me went, yes, I want to be a pinup. I want to be a burlesque performer. You've got to bear in mind, I was training at a performing arts facility. They was essentially teaching us to be able to get jobs on cruise liners and Disney and stuff like that. I was performing musical theatre pieces. They had me singing, acting and dancing. And I always thought I was going to be a performer. Like deep down inside, I wanted to be a dancer on tour, in music videos. I wanted to travel the world dancing. And then all of a sudden I was thrown this curveball in my final year there. So I did no more than started to style my hair. Terribly, may I add. Let's all enjoy these photos of my horrendous victory rolls and makeup. But I didn't care. I was so invested in being a pinup. I loved everything about it. And now I look back and cringe so hard that I even thought that looked good. I just went for it. And you know what? I actually rate that. I wasn't good at styling my hair or doing my makeup. I did it anyway. Because as we know, practice makes perfect. In my final year as well, we also performed a number that was themed around the film Burlesque. And my dance teacher at the time actually appointed me chief of hair and makeup for this. She wanted me to let the other girls know what style of hair and makeup we should do to achieve the overall look. This was mine. No, I don't want to talk about it. And this alone made me feel very seen and very appreciated for the fact that I was really in style at the time. I knew burlesque was something I wanted to do as soon as I graduated. And the harsher reality of the fact for me is that I literally am too short for nearly every casting available. Now, those of you who aren't involved in the performing arts world probably don't know this, but there actually is a height limit, which is predominantly known as a kick line. And if you're under a certain height, you will not be accepted for a job because you don't match the kick line. Now this is for visual aesthetic, and loads of places have height rules behind hiring their dancers. And the harsh reality for me was, once I graduated, there was no jobs. I wasn't actually tall enough for any of the jobs I wanted to apply for. So cue burlesque. I decided that I wasn't going to let this stop me, and I was going to make my own burlesque shows, which I successfully did and had a lot of fun doing at the time. My love and discovery of pinup come from a course at Performing Arts College. Literally, it blows my mind. It was a happy accident from some homework, and something that has been a big part of me and my career on and off for all these years. I honestly have always loved the style, even if I've not always shown that online. The aesthetic to me is something that I just feel is so, so beautiful. The art form of burlesque is so entertaining and stunning in its own right. And I do love me a super old film. I don't know where my life would have been if I hadn't done this coursework. Would I have ended up somewhere else? Would I ever have discovered this style at a later date? Who knows? All I know is the pin-up style brings me a lot of joy. Burlesque will always have a special place in my heart, and hopefully I will be able to continue to make content like this in the future. I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane with me. I'm now going to go die of embarrassment after sharing those horrendous pictures of me. I kid. But seriously, if you love something, just go for it. Obviously, if it's legal and above board. Because life's too short to be anything other than who you truly want to be. So go embrace your weird self. Go for it. Try that style you've been desperate to try. Listen to that band you don't think is part of your personality. Read that book that's out of your genre. Do these things. Who knows? You might find a whole other layer of yourself you didn't even know existed.